Hi there. This is Victoria Harger, actress, and I'm an author and a writer. And I wanted to take a little time to kind of review some of my books with you. I talked about Stones Along the Path yesterday, and today I want to talk about Walking Among the Kudzu. Now, this is a black child, although she looks white, she's not. She's very black, and she receives a lot of negativity from her parent. She's raised by a single mother, and she receives a lot of negativity because of the way she looks. And we look at her life as an adolescent and growing into her adulthood. And one of the things that happen to many teenagers that as they grow to maturation, as they seek affection, they find themselves getting into difficult situations. So we talk about her plunge into sexual relationships in order to supplement her or what she's not getting at home from her parents. She ends up in foster care. And fortunately for her, she finds a family, another family, that nurtures her and carries her on to adulthood and setting goals for herself and telling her what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. So she learns a lot. The kudzu vines are symbolic of trouble. If you are from the South, you know that kudzu vines, that representation of kudzu vines means trouble and a lot of hard work, because you have to spend a lot of time pulling them out of your garden. If you live anywhere near kudzu, you have some problems in your life. Take time to go back and look at one of my videos on kudzu vines, because it's known as the vine that ate the South. And and they tell strangers when they come from the north, don't sleep with with your windows open, because the vines are going to get you. So it's a very interesting look. One of the things I used to tell teenagers when I was teaching sex education was that the feelings that they have for another person sometimes has nothing to do with the person, because your hormones are so active that a buffalo can blow in your ear and you go crazy over it. So you just have to be aware. They have to be taught. We have to teach our children what to expect. And just because they have a physical reaction to a person doesn't mean that that is love. It just means that your hormones are very active, and you need to learn how to manage those things so that they don't overwhelm you. And I think one of the reasons I write about sex, because I find adult women who know nothing about their bodies and have not even examined the bodies to see what part is where, or how it looks, or whatever. It's always a discussion that we must have. But I do write about love. I do write about sexual relationships, and I do it in detail because I think some of those things need to be blown open, and we need to share those things with other people. It doesn't matter who we are, or where we are, or who we love. What matters is that we do that with respect and dignity. And I think that's one of the things I try to bring out in my books, that everyone deserves love and affection, and it doesn't matter where they come from or what orientation they are or that they have. They deserve to be loved and cherished, and everyone else needs to respect that. And I just believe that with all the energy and fiber of my being, that in doing that, in opening up topics, we're able to discuss it and share that. This is a growing experience for many people, and it's also a very valuable experience for people to sit down and discuss it, and even within your relationship, to talk about sex and to talk about what you feel, how you feel. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And I think in my writing, I hope to convey that, to convey the type of love that a person should have or should not have. Sometimes it's very, people who end up in violent situations, sometimes that is created out of a need for affection, and it may be inappropriate to even seek that affection from another person. So we get into situations that we need to know how to handle, and how to handle our bodies, and not share our bodies with people just because you feel something's physical for them, and to learn to distinguish between those physical reaction and the reactions of a person who actually cares for you are two different things. And I think sometimes men handle that better than women. So we need to take a look at that as Americans, because I think our attitudes are a bit puritanical, and we need to open it up to a lot of discussion and a lot of feedback. And from a historic perspective, as African Americans, we need to rely on what our traditions are and what our people stand for. We are the original people of the earth, and we have some of the greatest traditions as far as teaching children about sexual education and about how to handle themselves in a situation where they are expected to perform, and how they're expected to perform, and to know which things, some things that are appropriate and things that are not appropriate, and what can be determined in any relationship as appropriate. Is there any such thing? I think those questions need to be asked, and we can ask that as we read and discuss books like Walking Among the Kudzu, or in this one. This is Buttermilk Bottom. Buttermilk Bottom has a lot of issues that come up as far as violence in a relationship and how that is handled. And sometimes we get into situations where our bodies are used by other people without us being approving of that, and how sometimes we relinquish that control to someone else. And I think we need to look at all those aspects of sexual relationships. I love history, and I use that as a backdrop for many of my writings. I also love to talk about sexual relationships, because I know, and I have many people in my life that I have given guidance to and have talked to about their sexual relationship. People come to me because they know I know a lot of stuff. So take a look at these books. You'll love Walking Among the Kudzu, because it's about family relationships and what to expect in relationships from people, and how to judge if a person truly loves you or not. What situations should a person look for? What warning signs should a person look for? And I think we'll all be the wiser for it. So take a moment, check that book out. It's really great. And you take care. And remember, love someone special, but most of all, love to you. God bless.